Waiters, what's the most infuriating thing you've seen on the job? I just watched a family of 5 spend 3 hours meticulously eating a meal they knew damn well they couldn't afford, while I stood there like an idiot knowing exactly what was coming next. Been waitressing at this small family restaurant for almost 2 years now. The pay is shit, but the owners are decent and the regulars tip well enough. I've seen all kinds of crap working here. People complaining about perfectly cooked food, drunk businessmen getting handsy, the usual garbage. But what happened last week actually made me throw up in the alley behind the restaurant afterwards. It was Tuesday evening, slow night, only 4 tables occupied. This family walks in, mom, dad, and 3 kids all under 10. They're dressed nice, but something felt off immediately. Too stiff, too quiet, like they were all holding their breath. The dad, let's call him Damien, does all the talking. His wife, I learned later her name was Chloe, just sat there with this glazed smile, like someone had carved it onto her face. They ordered one of everything: appetizers, entrees, specialty cocktails for the adults, fancy desserts. I remember writing it all down and thinking this bill is gonna be at least $300. I tried to catch Chloe's eye, thinking maybe she'd realize how much they were spending, but she was just staring at her hands. The middle kid, maybe 7 or 8, kept asking if they could really have anything they wanted. Damien kept saying, yes, sweetie, anything you want, tonight is special. The oldest kid looked uncomfortable, picking at her napkin. Hank, our cook, even came out to confirm the order because it was so excessive. When I brought the calamari, the oldest girl whispered something to her mom. Chloe shook her head sharply, and the girl just shut down, went completely silent. Damien didn't notice. He was busy arranging the food just right for photos. Made them retake pictures 5, 6 times until everyone looked happy enough. The youngest started crying because she was hungry and tired of posing. He snapped at her, then immediately switched to this sugary voice. Promised her ice cream if she'd just smile for daddy one more time. While waiting for their food, I overheard Damien telling the kids how this was going to be the best meal of their lives and how they deserved something special after everything. As I brought out each course, Damien would make this big show of photographing the food, making the kids pose with their plates, telling them to smile bigger. No, bigger. Chloe barely touched her food, just pushed it around while the kids ate like they hadn't seen food in days. The middle kid asked if they could take the leftovers home, and Damien laughed too loud, said tonight was about living in the moment, no thinking about tomorrow. Halfway through the meal, the youngest kid spilled her drink. Damien's face just changed. For like 3 seconds, he looked like he wanted to flip the whole table. Then just as quickly, the mask came back on and he was all, oh, sweetie, it's fine. Accidents happen, in this voice that was way too loud. Damien kept asking me about dessert options, making the kids debate which ones they wanted, insisting they each get something different so they could try everything life has to offer. After dessert, Damien asked for the check with this weird formality. I brought it over and he studied it for a long time, nodding like he was confirming something. Then he excused himself to use the bathroom. 15 minutes passed. Chloe started crying silently, still with that frozen smile. The kids looked confused. My manager Liana told me to check the men's room. Empty. Car gone from the parking lot. I came back and Chloe was still just sitting there, kids getting antsy. I asked if everything was okay and she just whispered, he does this sometimes. Turns out Damien had been laid off 6 months ago, hadn't told his family, had been pretending to go to work every day while sleeping in his car or at the library. They were 3 months behind on rent, about to be evicted. This dinner was his gift to them before he disappeared. Chloe had no money, no cards, nothing. Just 3 confused kids and a $347 bill. Liana called the police while I sat with Chloe in the break room. The oldest kid kept apologizing to me over and over. I wanted to tell her it wasn't her fault, but I couldn't stop thinking about how Damien had made them pose with their food, knowing it was all a lie. Police took statements but said there wasn't much they could do besides file a report for the unpaid bill. Theft of services, they called it. I ended up paying for their meal with my tips from the whole week. Liana was pissed, said I was being naive, but I couldn't stop thinking about those kids' faces. 3 days later, Hugo, our dishwasher, found Damien's wallet in the men's room trash, empty except for family photos and a note that just said, I'm sorry for everything. They found Damien yesterday. He'd checked into a motel about 30 miles away and taken a bunch of sleeping pills, left another note apologizing for being a failure. Now those kids have to live with that too.